Alright guys, what I'm about to tell you is genuinely one of the most disturbing things I've come across. An acquaintance of mine from Colorado was recently involved in something really strange a couple of nights ago. This was no place like Denver or some big place like that, but one of those middle of nowhere white bread mountain towns where something big could go down and nobody in the rest of the country, or state for that matter, would ever know. This acquaintance of mine described everything he apparently saw that night, January 2nd, 2012, and one of the people he lives with was asked to get the story to me by email. Given that the story would not be released with actual names, or at all for that matter, I asked if I could post it to a website that likely would not believe it in the first place if I was to change the names. He agreed, and here we are. And now, I present the post-experience journal of this acquaintance of mine. Right now, it's 4:17 AM MST on January 2nd, 2012. I've just returned from one of the most messed up things I will ever be witness to. My name is Eric Patterson, 22, from Colorado. 2.5 hours ago, around 1 AM, this whole mess began when me and a couple of my friends, 4 including me, Ken, Jack and Tyler, were up in the mountains not too far from town. Given that we're in Colorado, that shouldn't be that surprising, because we've all had a love for being up in the mountains during the most quiet time of day, for as long as we could all hike when we were real young. We were going to be moving to different parts of the country on the 7th, different colleges, and decided to have our own farewell to each other by doing the one thing we've all loved for as long as we've grown up together. Now, none of us were really into that paranormal stuff. Hell, we all thought those paranormal activity movies were terrible. So we were pretty normal people. At least by the standard of average Colorado living in a virtually unknown mountain town, I guess. So, anyways, we were up in the mountains, not too far up though, maybe a couple hundred feet or so from ground level, and not so far that we couldn't still see the town somewhat. Remember, it was 1 in the morning, pitch black, and being the complete morons we were that night, decided to do some exploring. Even through all our years, we had never really explored these mountains too much. We really just climbed them and came back down. And we weren't exactly sober either. Big mistake. Something wasn't right about our surroundings though. It just felt like something was off. Really, really off. Anyways, for some reason, we thought it would be a good idea to start climbing the mountain to the top, while partially intoxicated. So we did. But the entire time, we kept hearing odd sounds and seeing some shadows that were just wrong. I didn't know why at the time, but it just seemed like they weren't being cast by anything. They were also moving as if there was a wind, which there was none at the time. Now, these may sound like those basic horror plot pieces that have existed since the 20s and before, but at the time, I thought nothing of it. Now listen at this point really clearly. By now, you're probably asking why any of this is important, and why this is not the best writing in the world. First, it's coming. You just need this background. Trust me. Second, I'm not as calm right now as my typing might make you think. My sentences and all aren't all fluff and colourful, all structured stuff, because I'm still freaking out right now. From what I just saw. From what we all saw. Alright, at this point, I didn't know what time it was, but it was probably closer to 2. We were met with a dead end on the route we were trying to take up the mountain. Before we were able to truly demonstrate how annoyed we were at the fact, we all froze in place. There was a scream. A womanly sounding scream, but not one that sounded normal at all. It sounded like the shadows from before looked wrong. Or maybe off would be a better word. I don't know, pick one. So, since everyone was too scared to, I decided to be the one to turn around. Fully expecting some sort of demon creature or walking skeleton or whatever. Nothing. So I told the guys and they turned around too. They confirmed that there was nothing there. But my focus quickly shifted from vision to hearing. I was hearing these really irregular breaths. Obviously, I'd assumed it was coming from one of the guys, until I realised that the sound was coming from right in front of me. The guys were to my sides. Being the moron that I was, I decided to prove it wasn't some sort of ghost or something by sticking my hand out in front of me. Cold spot. Seriously, it was like the space in front of me was like a full 10 degrees colder than the air in any other area around me. I froze up and told the guys that we had to get out of there. I didn't really even know why. It was all just seeming wrong to me. So we decided to go back to our camp. The other reason being that we didn't want to pass out from our partial drunkenness, where we could be ready to die or something. What we saw at the camp was beyond creepy, that I can't even imagine it right now without having a slight panic attack. Blood everywhere. No, I'm not trying to exaggerate or say, ooh, it's bloody now, scary, or rubbish like that. There was blood all over the camp, the tent, the stuff we left, everything covered in blood. Now, reading this, it might not seem that scary. I know all the messed up stuff you read. But just for a moment, imagine coming back to your campsite to find it covered in blood, especially while drunk, and after the possibility of being in the presence of a ghost. It was terrifying. So, obviously, we wanted to know where the stuff came from. Now, I seriously regret doing so. Thinking that we should try to pack up and get out of there before any authorities find us and think we killed us something, we started collecting things and tried our best to wipe off the blood on the rocks of the mountain. It didn't turn out so well, as you could imagine. While I was working on getting our stuff together, Tyler, who was going to get our stuff out the tent, screamed at the top of his lungs. It was so loud that we replied with the same type of "what the hell" type of responses to why he just had the mother of all short burst panic attacks. "It's a head," he said. We had no idea what he was talking about, so we pushed him aside and looked into the tent. A mountain lion head lying in the middle of the tent. I'm pretty sure we all had some sort of heart attack after seeing that thing. There was a mountain lion's head in our tent with blood everywhere. Its internals were splattered all over the place. Why? How the hell should I know? No. How the hell should any of us have known? Jack puked at the first glance, almost instantly. First impression, some sort of freakish cult or something came through and destroyed our campsite and left their animal sacrifice on our hands for the sick fun of it, or to try and frame us. Either way, we were both annoyed and scared. After looking more around the camp for any notice or message for anything, we found a message in the ground, under some of the blood in the middle of the camp. Seemed to have been written out with a rock or something on the mountain ground, if you will. Now the image wasn't written in any creepy type of font or anything like that. It wasn't the way the message was written, but just what it said. "You messed with me. I told you not to mess with me. Didn't listen. Pity. Sad face." What the hell was that supposed to mean? And a sad face? What the hell? At this point, we just decided to grab everything, ignore the blood and the head, and just get off this mountain. Something was actually messing with us. Apparently because something we did to it. Whoever it was. Long story short, we got off the mountain and back to the truck with our stuff, still covered in blood, as were we. We were fully planning to deny anything if asked about being on top of that mountain, about the lion, about everything. We don't know anything. The cops had nothing they could throw on us. Once we got everything packed onto the truck and started driving, Ken opened his pack, not able to do so at the campsite because of all the chaos, to find something really weird. A blooded, pinkish or purplish, hard to tell because of the blood, beret, that French hat thing. Now hold on. This wasn't here before. Ken doesn't own one. He's not French. Nor does he wear hats at all. Nor would he pack one, even if he did own one. Nor would it be pink or purple. And it drenched in even more blood than most of the other stuff, despite being inside of something. This really seemed like some weird, pretentious horror thing, or something where this beret was some symbol or something. Freaking out, Ken almost tossed the thing outside the window, but we stopped him. Ken finally said he would take the beret home, as he had a sister that might want it if he could clean the blood out of it, or try to find if anyone knew anything about it. Thinking back, why the hell would Ken offer a bloody beret to his sister? Sicko. January 4th, 8:28 AM. Ken's still gone. His family called about 5 minutes ago asking about him again. He's been missing since after the night on the 2nd. Apparently, he never came home. This is getting really freaky. January 4th, 11:43 PM. Still nothing on Ken. I don't want to say it has to do with the beret, or the messages, or the mountain lion, or whatever. But this is really getting spooky, man. January 5th, 3:39 PM. Jeez, this is really hard for me to write. Sorry about the tear stains on the paper. But I can't stop crying right now. The government just called me. The freaking government just called me. They said they found Ken's body chained, standing upright in the boiler room in Chain Mountain. His mouth was stuffed with a dirty cleaning rag. His tongue was cut off. His throat was slit. His eyes and esophagus ripped out, all hanging from the body. And his scrotum was sliced open with his balls hanging out. This may seem funny the way I just said it, but just think about that image for a second. That's horrible. Who the hell is this cult, or whatever? Why are they targeting us? We've done nothing. The government said they weren't going to go to the press with this story, and warned me that if I tried to tell anyone, they would deny it and label it a hoax. They threatened to make me disappear. So I shut my mouth. Ken's official case has been closed as a missing person. January 5th, 3:51 PM. I'm out of here right now, dude. I just got the creepiest phone call you will ever hear about. It was this girl's voice, not too different from the pitch of that screamer from the mountain. It was this creepy, high-pitched voice that said something like, "I told you not to mess with me, but your friend didn't listen, did he?" I cursed the thing and it just giggled at me, finally saying, "Don't worry, I'll be nice with you." She sounded like she was 9 or something. "Just get out by tomorrow and you'll live." She giggled again. Regardless of this insanity, I'm taking this asshole's advice, and I'm getting out of here tonight. Right before I hung up, she ended by saying, "Oh, and one more thing. When I said not to mess with me, that includes taking my stuff, asshole. But I guess your friend learned that, huh?" She giggled again before the line went dead. I felt like I was in some horrible horror movie or something. Screw this, I'm getting out of here tonight and getting a flight to California. I'll call you as soon as I get there. That was the end of his journal. You don't have to believe any of this, but I'm pretty sure it's true. He said he can't truly prove it to a non-witness because he couldn't trace the phone call back. The government already told him not to try and go public and all that. Believe it or not, that's the story and all of its confusing horror. What's weird is that Eric's entries seem to have a lot of missing parts. Especially about how that beret got in Ken's pack, since that girl's voice seems to imply that they stole it. And then there's the problem with Eric now. He left on the 5th. It's now the 7th. He still hasn't called.